It's one of the biggest revolutions known to humankind. It's revolutionized pretty much everything we do, from simple questions like, how's the weather, to these massive projects that used to be limited to only the smartest. However, defining AI as just this little tool to help people cheat isn't really uncovering its massive capability. So, what is AI, and how do we use it? That's what I'm going to be telling you today in this video. Hello everyone, I'm Frank, and long time no see. I'm sorry for not uploading for so long. I've been preparing for this video, which I think will be very useful, and that's how I use AI in my daily life. I use AI from all sorts of things, like even planning on what book to read next, to building coding projects that, well, everyone can use. So how do I use AI to help me get stuff done and actually learn? That's what I'll be telling you in this video. However, you guys better subscribe to get better AI luck. So here's the secret with AI. Most people do this. Hey AI, tell me what to do here. However, that's not really what you can use with AI. And that's also why so many people ask, are students going to stop thinking if they're using AI? Well, it really depends. If you just use the strategy I said before, where just you're asking a question and waiting for an answer, yes, it really does make you lazy. Your brain doesn't have to do anything, and therefore, you're not really learning. However, for me, I have three main rules to help me use AI. Rule number one, AI should not help me with, it should not replace my learning. It should help me instead. For example, if I don't understand a math problem, what I don't do is take a screenshot and send it over. I give them my thought process so far, tell them that they're like a teacher, and I ask them to explain it step by step. Then I try to solve it myself. Again, rule number two, AI is not correct. Like every single AI says, if you scroll down, this is an AI. It does make mistakes. So, although AI is very strong, you can't depend it 100%. So I always check the answer, whether that's by using another AI or I try solving it myself. Like if I'm designing something like a 3D model, then I ask for it to give me the steps. I first think about it, will this work? What is going on? Then I start to make it. If I can't make it, then I tell it, you need to think about this more. Rule number three, I need to turn my AI response into my own work. If it's a 3D model, like I said, I design it, I test it, and then I print it. If it's a math problem, I always need to work out the process, and I need to do another one, a similar problem, without the help of AI, and write down the points I didn't know. So that's the best way to start using AI, to start making things faster, but not wasting your time, not learning it. One of the biggest things I use AI for is to help me with studying. That does seem like cheating. I mean, you're literally not doing any work. You're getting AI to help you. However, this is not true. I've used AI to help me make a sort of test document, and with that, I do the test and I ask it to check. With that, I am able to use my prior knowledge and do it again and again without having to scour the internet and pay for these types of AI problems. What I also am able to use AI in my study for is to check my work. I'm never really 100% sure of the answers. So what I can do, I ask AI to tell me which questions are wrong, but I don't just look at the answer. I work through it, and sometimes, because using rule 2, AI does make mistakes, I tell them my thought process. I say that you're wrong, think about this again, and then, well, I can figure out if I did have any problems, and if not, well, I don't have to change anything. I can also use AI in another way, this time for my leadership stuff. Because I'm a year 6 at a primary school, what we have to do now is sort of make these leader actions. So because I'm a science and sustainability captain at my school, what I've done is I've built this website that can make science and games have combined. How it works is I use my own brain first. I brainstorm a bunch of ideas on how this is going to work. Then I use AI. At first I used Replit Agent because had this person who was supporting me, and they made me use Replit. Replit is really much a simple one, but it was useful. And I was able to use AI to build this massive website called Neuronics. Now, I didn't just go, AI, help me build this. I thought about it, I designed it. Even if I don't understand the code, that's okay, because I can get AI to explain what everything does. Of course, AI always isn't correct. So, sometimes when there's bugs, I send the error message to AI. I ask it to explain what went wrong, and then I make it do it. Also, I don't just take the first result as the final product. That doesn't work. What I need to do is I see it. I then test it. This is one of the biggest parts. If you don't test your work, you'll never know what went wrong. And then, once I'm sure I tested it a lot, I sent it to one of my friends, just one. What this was is a sort of a testing group, because I can't do it all myself. Other people may have other ideas, and they can test it better. So I got my classmate to see it. He really enjoyed it, and he found a lot of bugs and new things I could add. Then I was able to use AI to help me go back. After that was done, then I could share it to a larger group and eventually to rest of the school. However, AI isn't here to replace people. AI is just here to support people. This is very important. People do say that AI is replacing jobs, and it is true. Some jobs will no longer be needed. I mean, coding, look how much this revolution has changed. With Claude Code, you can do whatever you want. I know because I've been using it a lot recently. However, if you just depend on Claude Code, you'll never be able to make. Okay, I'll try. However, here's the important part. AI isn't here to replace people. It's here to support people. Sure, some jobs will not be needed. You won't need these, um, you know, coders and stuff because of vibe coding. However, if you just depend on things like Claude Code to do all the work for you, you'll never be able to do something big. If you don't understand what's happening underneath, you won't be able to design good things and end up setting tasks for Claude that are impossible to do and then leading your whole app to crash. It's scary, but it is true. So, AI does have a lot of big capabilities, but here's my advice for you when you're using it. Do not, this is one of the biggest thing ever, do not just ask for answers. You need to ask why. How does this work? Can you explain it step by step? Is there another way to solve this? And what mistake did I make? This is the biggest thing. If you made a mistake, you can't just let AI fix it for you. If there's something you need to do, you can't just let AI do it for you. You need to let AI tell you what you went wrong and tell you what they did for you to truly understand. Another thing I tell a lot of people is once AI gives you something, I usually try to make at least one edit. Well, I have this podcast team at my school, and some of them are beginning to use AI. Now, this isn't really a bad thing, but I noticed that they were using it like, write me a script for my podcast. That doesn't work. It's too broad, and AI can go and do whatever it wants. That is not very healthy for you. What you need AI to do for you is a support, like I've said. So, when you have your AI and it gives you a final thing, you need to change it. Make at least one edit. Because if you're writing something, well, it's going to not feel like yours. And when you're presenting it, because writing is basically for presenting, if you're presenting it, you'll not be able to get that sort of emotion and feeling into it and end up having wasted your AI credits and your time. So you need to make at least one edit to it. Think hard and say it in your own style. Real projects force you to test AI's answers, and you really need to make changes. This also leads us to my third point, where you must use AI in real life projects. You need to make a model if you're designing a 3D model. If you're going to make a model, you need to do this. You ask AI to give you the steps. You try it. If it doesn't work, you give error messages or, well, things that you thought were wrong and send it to AI. Here's another most important part. I know I'm saying a lot, but with AI, there is so many things you need to consider. When you have an AI, you can't let AI take you away. If you're thinking about ideas, you give AI to give you some points, and then you choose some of these, and then ask AI to brainstorm for you more. However, if there's this thing that AI forces you to go on, do not listen. You always must argue back. Remember, you are the owner of your AI, and do not let it take you away. Fourth, you need to keep your curiosity. AI is very powerful, but the most important thing is still your driving question. At our school, we do have this thing called PYPX, and the starting phrase is having a big idea and then thinking of questions. If you don't have questions, you don't have an inquiry. A dud question is a dud inquiry. So you have a good question, but you cannot lead away from it. You have a question and you keep onto it. This is very important. So when you're thinking of using AI, you need to think, what do I want to build? What do I want to understand? And what am I trying to solve? Because everything comes from a problem. Inventions or a business, they're all trying to solve a problem and then turning that into a business or a sort of little plan. So in the future, learning will be very different. In the past, students had to use only their brain solely and then spend hours in front of a notepad and just start answering questions. This is no longer the way to go. Now, we still need these small tools, but not as much as before. In the future, one of the most important skills might be this. Do you have good questions to ask? Do you know how to use your tools wisely? And can you turn your ideas into real things? So, I've used AI a lot recently since its start. I was one of the first people to get it from 2023. I've used it to help me design 3D printing products and make my websites and use it for my own learning. But today, I gave you the big picture. The next one, I'll probably show you a real example of me talking to AI. I'll tell you how I go through everything. It might be making a 3D printed design. It might be answering a simple question. So if you want to use AI for your benefit, not just hearing people say that AI is powerful and then just using it to answer questions and not learning anything, you must subscribe and I'll show you more. See you in the next episode. Bye.